Well, it's Monday. I was not going to put out a video today, but then I get up and I see all over social media a headline. Paul Finebaum calls Kentucky one of the two worst programs in the SEC. Now, I just made a video on Saturday, guys. Go back and watch my Making the Case for Mark Stoops. I talk about the SEC. I've lived in 3 or 4 different SEC cities. It's a good old boy network. It's a club, and we ain't in it. But I will digress, and you can go watch that video. I explain all of that to you. It's pretty simple why we're not in it. Now, this headline, I call bullshit on it, okay? Because it doesn't have to do with any, I've got the numbers right here. Numbers, not based off of my opinion. Let's go over the numbers, okay? Paul, and I've got a video coming out probably not for another week. They have a professional statistical engineer who has some football website. I'll name it on the video. I won't go into it. His name's Wimberly. He got all the stats right last year. He called Alabama 8-4. He said Vanderbilt would have a good year, Texas. But so I go on the dude's website. You know who he has as a starting quarterback for Kentucky for 2025? Brock Vandagriff. There's only 16 teams in the SEC, and you can't get the quarterbacks right. That's who Paul Finebaum listens to. That's who good old Josh Pate and the good old boys on the SEC podcast listen to. Somebody who doesn't even know what the hell they're talking about. How can you get the quarterback wrong? Because they don't care. But let's go over some numbers. Paul, I'll call Paul. Let's start in 2022. Let's look at the bottom of the SEC. Okay. Of course, we were 7-6 that year. If you remember, we started going 7-6. Now, then the narrative became, because we had been winning 10 games, 8 games, but the narrative became, oh my God, Kentucky's slipping. Mark Stoops is starting to slip. Yeah, we immediately start getting dogged out for going 7-6. Texas A&M goes 5-7, 2-6. Now we went 7-6, 3-5 in the SEC. They go 2-6 in the SEC. There was a little bit of rumbling about, they should be concerned. Now, Texas A&M. Did they say they were one of the worst programs in the SEC? No. Of course they did, because they're in the good old boy network. Florida, 6-7, 3-5. We beat their ass. Billy Napier. I don't know if it was the coach before that. I think it was Napier then. I don't think it was I can't think of the other coach now off the top of my head, who's an analyst. But they just having a bad recruiting year. They just need to recruit better. I mean, we got to Billy Napier. We're going to talk about that. All they say about Billy Napier, well, you're going to have to give him a chance to recruit. Are they one of the worst programs in the SEC? We were better than they were. No, they're not better. No, they're not bad. Auburn, theme with Auburn. 3 damn years we're going to talk about Auburn. Suck. You suck, Auburn. Are you one of the worst programs? No, because you get a pass because you're in the club. You're in the good old boy football network. Just Hugh Freeze. He just doesn't have the right quarterback. Auburn was 6-7, 3-5 in the SEC in 2022. Awful. Missouri was 6-7, 3-5 in the SEC. Well, they just had a bad year. We're 7-6. We're starting to slip. Okay, let's go back to 2023, year before last. Now, Texas A&M, a little better, 7-6. We're 7-6. We're slipping. Texas A&M is 7-6. They're doing a great job. I don't know if they had the new coach by then or not, but they're coming on. They're going to do better. No, we were slipping and they were excelling because they're in the good old boy network. Of course, Mississippi State was 5-7, 1-7 in the SEC. I didn't talk about Vandy on 2022. There's no reason to. Arkansas, 2023, 4-8, 1-7 in the SEC. Now, there was a little bit of grumbling about Arkansas, but were they one of the 2 worst programs in the SEC? Did Paul find? No. Now, they're not in the club, but they get in their break. Auburn. We were 7-6 and slipping. Auburn was 6-7, 3-5 in the SEC. Same record as us. They're looking for the right quarterback. They just need Hugh Freeze needs to recruit. All kinds of excuses made. They're in the good old boy network. Josh Pate. You think Josh Pate was dogging out Auburn? I'm sure they probably said a few negative things. They didn't say they're one of the worst teams. We're better than they were. Did we get any credit? Nope. We're 7-6. We're not slipping. Nope. We're a basketball school. Nope. Slipping. 7-6. South Carolina was 5-7 in 2023. 3-5 in SEC. Well, Brandon, I think that's when Beamer took over. Okay, well, he's got to get his players in, and he's all kinds of excuses made. Now they're not in the club. Florida in 2023, 5-7, 3-5. Now, once again, are they one of the two worst programs? We're 7-6. We're 3-5. We're slipping. Billy Napier, I just got to recruit some classes. Just got to recruit better. Stats don't bear it out, Paul. Guys, and I'm going to say this later in the podcast. We'll get into this. Vanderbilt was 2-10. Florida, excuses made. Auburn, excuses made. Last year, okay, we had a bad year. 4-8, first losing season. Oh my God, damn! We're the worst team in the SEC because we had one bad year. Arkansas went 7-6. They weren't great, 3-5 in the SEC. Now he did beat Tennessee. Vanderbilt went 7-6. When we went 7-6, we were slipping. They have Diego Pave, however you say, the quarterback from New Mexico State, good quarterback. They go 7-6, 3-5. Oh my God, they're one of the best teams in the SEC. They're great. Now they're not in the club, Vanderbilt. So as soon as you start slipping again, you'll be standing outside with us. Yeah. You too, Ole Miss. I didn't mention you because you're doing good. Mississippi State was 2-10 last year, 0-8 in SEC. They're one of the two worst programs. Oklahoma last year, 6-7, 2-6 in the SEC. Are they one of the worst programs? No. They got to find the right quarterback. They just don't have a good quarterback. They're new in the SEC. They're not used to, the play. Any kind of excuse made, they got grandfathered into the Good Old Boy Network. So they're in the club. Auburn, once again, 3 damn years in a row, 5-7, 2-6. Why the hell aren't they one of the worst of the two teams in the SEC? Paul, because they're in the Good Old Boy Network. They get calls to your show. And look, I get it. Listen, guys, Paul Finebaum's going to say whatever. Listen, that guy he graduated from Tennessee, had a radio show in Birmingham before the SEC network or wherever in Alabama. Dude, if you're going to talk shit about us, at least be statistically right about it. I just sat there and read the stats to you. We're better than Auburn. We had one bad year. If we go 5-7, if we have two bad, Auburn can have 3 bad years. Oh, it's Texas A&M, 3 bad years. It's Florida, 3 bad years. Oh, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, just if we had 3 bad years, we're just a basketball school. We suck. Yep, fire Stoops. Yep, let them go. No excuses for us. No excuses for about half the schools. Go back and watch my Making the Case for Mark Stoops. I go over this. I sit here and prove it to you in that video and this video. Now, I say all that to say this in 8 minutes. I can't believe I'm going to steal a John Calipari phrase. Don't let them steal your joy, Kentucky fans. Don't look for validation from these people. You're never going to get it. Don't ever turn on Finebaum. Don't ever watch Josh Pate, and don't watch the two good old boys on the SEC football podcast. You're just not going to get it. Now, if somehow miraculously we do win this year and win 6 games, they may say, as long as we win, we're in. Stoops is great. Winningest coach in the history of Kentucky football, and he can't have one or 2 bad years, and you let Hugh Freeze do whatever the hell he wants. Yeah, that's real fair, Paul. So anyway, listen, a little animated. It irks me. It frustrates me because I didn't realize it till I started doing this channel, and I really started in depth watching these guys to see what everybody else was saying. There are some fair podcasts out there, Uncle Lou, Sports Talk Jay, so they're not all bad. But if anybody that goes on Finebaum and this moron that gave out the statistics that didn't even have our damn roster right, and you're a professional on a professional network, what? They don't tell the truth. Look, Kentucky fans, before I get off of here, there's basketball fans on these football threads. They couldn't name 3 people on the football team. They don't know anything about the football team. They just know our record. They don't look back at the history. They don't look back at Stoops' whole body of work. Stoops, he doesn't get a break for his whole body of work. So look, if you're one of those people that don't even watch football and you just look at the numbers, yeah, well, hell, he should be fired then. But if you're a fan like us, I know if you're watching this, you got to be a Kentucky football fan. We know what the numbers are. We know what the history of Kentucky football is. We know how bad it was before Mark Stoops got here. Other than Bear Bryant, and I'm not calling him Bear Bryant, nobody's done as good as he is. We're in the NIL world. I cover this in the Making the Case video. If you haven't watched it, once again, go back and watch that. With NIL and us being owned by an LLC, we're privatized now. Things are different. You can't just go hire a coach who knows X's and O's because it's not going to work. That's why Nick Saban got his ass out, because he's not going to be the best coach anymore. This is. All right, look, got a video coming up. What's our next video? I think I will do the history of the Indiana Kentucky football series, just to change it up a little bit. That was a good series. This weekend on Saturday, we break down Zach Calzada's film. I know they got him dead last in the SEC. I know we're the worst team and he's the worst quarterback. I got it. Even though guy, when he's at Texas A&M beating Nick Saban, he was great. But since he's wearing a Kentucky helmet, he sucks. Once again, don't look for validation. Don't let them steal your joy. Hey, let's have fun with this. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.